Welcome, listeners. Welcome back to AI CyberGPT Pulse podcast. This is our AI edition of CyberGPT. Today, we have a very special guest who is really uh, dif- who is a real champion on a different field of security. We have been discussing about supply chain security in various facets. It was mostly on software aspect, but today our guest is more accurate on the operational and manufacturing side. I am your host, Amiruddin Sayed. Over to John.
Yes, hi, my name is John Jaisaree. I've been involved in cybersecurity for the past 10 years. My background is engineering, and I spent about 25 years as an industrial automation and control systems engineer. And around 10 years ago, someone got me introduced to cybersecurity. It really sounds like it's an interesting area to get into, and at the same time, I realized that many operational technology systems were never built with security in mind. So that piqued my curiosity, and it started my journey in cybersecurity. So I connected with some companies that were already operating in the space. A lot of them were actually out of Israel, and I started my journey and my education with a lot of folks that was developing OT security out of Israel. It was quite new to the United States and Canada, but again, the Israelis were much advanced when it comes to OT security.
Yeah, definitely. You cannot beat Israeli there. Uh, for those listeners who might not be well versed about OT and operational technology, how do you will be defining it for those audience and how it actually contrasts from the IT environment?
Yeah, IT security is quite different from OT security. I mean, IT is more of a homogeneous environment where you have servers, workstations. It's really straightforward. But OT technology was built by many vendors. There are many different systems in OT. You have SCADA systems, you got DCS, you got PLC, and of different age. I mean, there are systems that was built 40 years ago, and there are new technology like IIoT and now AI technology is coming into that environment. So there is a multitude of different technology and by different vendors. They're not, and they all have proprietary protocols that they all run. So the complexity of OT is quite, I would say, quite different from IT. And securing this environment is a challenge, and it continued to be a challenge. One of the things about OT is it's been really lagging way behind IT security because the IT solutions does not work in OT, and anybody that works in OT will appreciate that. And there being the lack of knowledge or skills, there's a big skills gap in OT today, and that's one of the reasons we can't make the kind of progress I would like to see in the industry. It's a continuous challenge to find talent in OT security.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think OT has been traditionally very focused on the safety aspect more than safety and availability aspect because of criticality of the operation in field. So security hasn't been that much of a concern till now. When we are heading to have automation and much more network IoT components on the field, so it's getting much more trickier and juicier for attackers perspective, but much more technical or much more difficult complexity for safeguarding the blue teamers perspective. From your experience, as you have already touched, that how has this approach uh, evolved through various modern threats? Is this just because of IoT and AI, you are seeing this evolution has been started, or you have been seeing this evolution way before we have been hearing AI or even IoTs? So, is there anything which you already see that was a baseline which get more trickier because of these two technologies?
I think the biggest threat started when we connected the IT and the OT network. One of the driver for connecting was to gain visibility into the OT environment. The business wanted to have an understanding of how their operations are running, and by connecting their IT and OT network, that's where the challenge started, because security was never designed in the OT environment. Now, all these systems that was deployed has now become exposed to cyber threats, and I think that's where it all begins. I mean, there have been attack on air gap systems in the in some oil refineries, some nuclear power plants, but those are rare. Those are targeted attack. Those somebody has to walk in there with a USB stick and basically drop a malware onto an engineering station, and then it finds its way around the network. But typically, the most attacks we see today is coming from the external through the internet into the IT network, and it finds its way onto the OT environment. As I said, by connecting everything IT to OT, and now we're talking about cloud integration. There's a lot of companies are now starting to look at how to integrate their OT environment into cloud, and that even more threats and we're looking at, because we're connecting to an environment that we don't have much visibility into, and we don't know what happens in the cloud. And so I think that's even a more of a serious concern. Some companies are not embracing cloud technology, and some are moving forward. So we see a variety of, you know, different deployments out there from technology standpoint. And as you continue to expand that technology footprint, yes, we're going to have more and more threats coming in into the environment.
Oh, yeah. So from the newer audience who might be listening, the initial threat which John discussed is pretty much the same which Iran faced due to trust nest, and that was one of the initial attack which actually fumbled a lot of IT security. That's something that like that actually can happen, because this was a very long dream that yeah, we can pass on uh, uh, just to pass on a pen drive into a air gap system and just do something critical, but it was never imagined that a centrifugal system can be impacted by that one. So that's kind of was one of the eye opener for us IT guys as well. That yeah, okay, so even operational side is not that secure, even if it is air gapped. And now we are not even remotely air gapped because of the network connection and cloud aspect, as you have already discussed, and asset management, even in manufacturing sector where I have been currently involved, seeing generating a simple S bomb for any any model is just been still talked. We don't have a action point to actually complete it, because nobody knows how to actually completely cover all the visibility into that thing. We can always do it on the IT side, but yeah, when it comes on to the manufacturing models, you don't usually have enough documentation of a single model. So not all the models are properly documented in that way. So yeah, there have been so many challenges in that case. So do you think these frameworks which have been coming around for around OTs security, like NIST 882 or IEC 62443, is does help, but are we moving in the right direction with this one?
Well, these frameworks are really guidelines, and some you know from when a company makes a decision to start implementing security in their OT, the operational technology environment, they need some guidance. They need to know, how do I develop? So OT. So the NIST cybersecurity framework and NIST 882, IE 62443, those are all frameworks were designed around OT security. And it helps a company to assess their vulnerabilities, their risk, and to understand where to begin their cyber program. So they're very helpful, and I use them on a daily basis to when I start looking at a company to understand what their maturity is, what are their control gaps, etc. So it's very helpful to have some framework to align your cybersecurity assessments and the strategies you look in terms of building out their cyber program.
Okay, that sounds like a maturity model. These maturity model does help, but not exactly can be converted into action items. Is that a correct statement?
That's correct. One of the biggest challenge on seeing security is, it's how do you build a cyber program, a defensible cyber program. Yeah, I mean, I think the most recent statistics is we see every 39 seconds there's an attack on a company today. And these are all automated tools that these hackers have developed now to scan the internet, looking to see who have some type of backdoor into their network, or even finding information about a company, and then they can start building out an attack from that. So reconnaissance sometimes could take 2 to 3 years before they even have enough information to launch an attack. So it's really understanding what how to build an effective cyber program. How do you do it? And I think that's where most companies believe that buying tools is going to solve the problem. No, it's a people, process, and technology problem. I mean, we need to take a step back and look at it from, how do we get the right talent? How do we get the people who understand the environment? How do we get the security professionals together? How do we build standards? So how do we start a governance program? Yeah, governance is the number one thing when you start a cyber program. You don't start buying technology, because if you don't have enough skills on the table, you don't have any knowledge of how to implement this technology. It's most of them are ineffective. I've seen companies that I deliver work for. They have over an excess of 100 cybersecurity tools, and they're still getting breached today. So tools doesn't solve the problem. It's really understanding, how do I build that effective program? And I think that's where we are actually failing right now. We're really just thinking that tools are solving our problems, and it's not. So
So yeah, I'm hearing the same statement, which in IT as well, we have the same problem having too many tools, and after some time, we don't even have the enough visibility and correlation between these results. So that right now, many of the organizations are just working to create a visibility out, just like a dashboard or something in some integrated module, which gets out a better result than what we are looking into 10 different tools. So I think similar cases are also in OT as well. So I think there should be a concerted effort for improving the approach. Uh, so do you think the current frameworks? Do you have an advice for the organization which are currently relying on these existing frameworks and various tools, uh, how to use them to make much more resilient as well as cyber aware for the OT culture, in the OT culture purview, not for just moving it from the IT framework? Because from what I am hearing, a lot of the cultural understanding and working of the system is working environment is already very different from IT. So what should be done differently from there?
Well, I think it's, the challenge with a lot of these tools, they're not integrated. There's a lot of these tools work in siloed, right? They're all siloed. They don't have the ability to correlate data across different tools and how to analyze and look at threats and to understand where my biggest threats are, where my vulnerabilities are, what do I need to patch or fix or replace, I mean, legacy systems. So I think the problem is we buy these tools, but we don't have proper integration. I mean, with these tools. So you don't have a single pane of glass where you can look at all your threats, your vulnerabilities, look at your environment to understand. I mean, think about it. I mean, on a dashboard in a 747 is, I mean, there's a lot of instrumentation that monitors every aspect of the airplane when it's taking off, when it's landing, when it's flying, and that instrumentation is all integrated. All the technology in that aircraft connects and speaks to each other. Something, if you got wind turbulence on a flight, I mean, that makes certain types of calculation and adjustments to the airplane as it flies. And the problem is we don't have enough intelligence built into the tools to be able to help defend against these advanced threats. And I think that's where AI is going to really help us a lot. But then the flip side of AI is, the bad guys have these tools and they can even quicker they can build malware which quicker. They can even build attacks, is even much faster than they can do today. So even though AI is going to really advance our capability in defending against cyber attacks, then the attacks will even become more advanced. So that's something that we need to worry about going forward. And how do we embrace this new technology, and the level of threats that we're going to see, the ability of AI to infiltrate our environment, and on how quickly can they do it.
Yeah, that's a really good observation there from having this correlation between various tools. We don't right now are not having a concentrated effort in right direction, because if we already having been doing it from past decade or so, we would have at least achieved something, as we have already done in aircrafts. So, but we are not seeing anything like that. So there should be a concerted effort in better approach, which might be helpful. And of course, again, there's as you have already mentioned, there's of course a lack of resources available, human resources available here who can actually help to move things faster. So AI is already been um, jack of all trade kind of Swiss knife for everything right now. So everyone is looking toward AI domain to get solutions from out of the hat. So out of the magic hat. So just like that, AI entry in OT is also there. How you are thinking that AI is only been integrated in which of the domain? Can you do you like to share any of the real world use cases there in OT?
Well, from a cybersecurity perspective, yeah, some of the vendors we currently work with out there, like the Clarity, Nozomi, and a few other vendors like CrowdStrike, they're all starting to build AI-powered, uh, in technology into their threat detection solution. So we're basically getting fast and quicker to identify and isolate these incidents rather than, we, I think the ability to correlate that data much quicker. But as I said, one of the biggest challenge that we still face is the lack of integration. Because think about, we buy over 100 different cybersecurity tools, and they don't talk to each other. They all provide a specific function, but there is no, I mean, they all have a certain, not all of them, but majority of them, they provide some value in terms of identifying, protecting, detecting, and responding to threats. But how are they integrated? They're not, and I think that's where we're failing, is the lack of integration of these different tools. So, AI can help us a lot, and there are companies that advancing, moving the needle forward to integrate it, and I'm starting to get involved in some of these companies to understand what they're doing with AI technology specifically for cybersecurity. I mean, there are some companies already started implementing digital twin, AI-driven predictive maintenance
Mhm.
application in their environment, but those systems are more for enhancing their overall operations. But being in the cybersecurity space, I'm looking more towards tools that can help us elevate and disrupt the whole industry in terms of moving the needle forward.
Okay. So from your point of view, you are seeing the biggest advantage of AI-driven automation in predictive maintenance and process control? Are there any other field where it is been also intersected, or do you want any other newer field which has been not been intersected by AI should be intersected?
Well, AI is in our transportation industry. I mean, rail car systems, logistics, warehousing, everywhere we're going to see more and more AI technology gets implemented, and obviously with every new technology, it brings additional risk, and it also brings a new level of challenge of how do we protect these AI models that are getting deployed. I mean, there are tremendous benefits to having these different technology, AI technology in your environment, even from a quality standpoint. Looking at AI to manage your quality is even becoming, um, you know, is getting used in the industry, but sorry, it looks like my screensaver went on there and it interrupted me.
No problem there.
Yeah.
It's just a
So,
system.
so no, we're seeing more and more companies that are starting to look for new technology and bring it in their business. I mean, in the oil and gas industry, we're seeing a lot of it coming in on the exploration side and the refinery side. In manufacturing, we're seeing quality systems. I mean, being able to detect and identify, a product, before it's even get off the production line is a huge saving. So these are quality management system are now starting to leverage AI technology. And as I mentioned earlier, predictive maintenance companies that are looking at using all that data about their maintenance information that they have based on their operation and be able to predict when things are going to fail. So this way they can schedule maintenance on the equipment and having a major failure, and then they're down for an entire week, even up to, I mean, and that's extensive. But whereas if they understand what's going to happen, they can easily schedule downtime, which might be like a 24 hours for 48 hours, and they can overhaul the equipment. Like in power generation, I mean, that's so important to, these generators, electric generators run 24/7. And yes, there could be a failure in a generator, and it there can these can cost a lot of money to repair, and at the same time they can have outages.
Yeah. So sounds like AI has been also increasing the attack surface in OT, as it's already done in various other domains. So, do you think the current OT security standard is addressing something related to these AI-driven threats?
Well, there's currently there are frameworks that's been developed. The NIST have developed an AI risk management framework that now we need to follow when we implement AI technology We need to assess the risk. The ISO, it has a framework out there. It's the 4201, which is a governance framework about how do we safely deploy and manage AI in the environment. The existing frameworks, like as we talked about earlier, as a 62443, they're all still relevant for AI technology. I mean, we still need to follow those guidelines. I mean, no question about it. But the recently most recent framework is the NIST AI RF risk management framework and the ISO 42001 framework that came out in 2023.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, of course, the traditional conventional standards are always useful. They target the similar kind of attack, similar kind of threats, be it injection, be it data protection. So in AI, we are just translating those traditional attacks into much more sophistication with prompt injection to model evasion, and uh, data protection gets much more trickier because you don't have a strict boundary which you can just create a security boundary and move on from one security boundary to another, because boundary gets very blurry here, because various these AI components are drawing a lot of data from various various component outside the security boundary, which you cannot restrict, because those are the program flow which actually runs the APIs and the components in the model itself, and model them. Then right now with newer strategy with agentic AI, MCPs, these models are calling different vendors models, be it Claude, be it Gemini, Google, and Microsoft one is calling from OpenAI. So you have a much more wider boundaries and attack surface. So of course, I do see a need of AI-driven uh, threat management strategy here with OT, and much more targeted security standard will guide the professionals in the system. Does help to have that, although the checklist is not always beautiful to do it, but sometimes it just helps to know that yeah, these are the things which you have to check in this scenario or this environment, and yeah, go ahead and with that do those things just to complete a certain level of maturity and security. So from the perspective of the future, do you think that like from AI in IT, we are seeing a lot of statement from various uh, company leaders that we will be automating all the stuff, including the programmers itself. The human in loop approach will be reduced or later on just removed. Do you think that human in loop approach will stay for longer period of time in OT, and does it still make sense with AI in advent doing all the stuff which human usually does?
Well, AI is just an enabler. I mean, it helps us to get to the results and the answers much quicker, but it always going to have a human in the loop for sure. They'll have to review it and validate everything because, we're talking about safety systems here. We're talking about product quality, especially consumer product here, or even a drug manufacturing company that's looking at AI for quality management. You still have to make sure you have somebody providing oversight on this. You just can't let it and believe everything that the models are putting out and everything is good. Nothing to be concerned about. I mean, if somebody poisoned the AI, I mean, the model, I mean, you can feed false information to train the model, and then you think everything is running smoothly, everything is good, and in fact, it's not. So I cannot see us relying 100% on AI technology going forward. Yes, it's going to help us tremendously in the OT in manufacturing, but I don't see human being removed from that process at all.
Yeah, that's a great advice for some of the region in this some part of the world where they are already going ahead with dark factories and no human in loop. So yeah, these poison attacks and model evasion attacks, including various other newer attacks, can easily corrupt the system, and you will never know what exactly is running your machines. So, of course, that's a very brief thinking, but very important to consider before moving into all AI automation. So, from the perspective of uh, you have been covering a lot of stuff ground and uh, where AI is actually intersecting. OT is mostly in threat intelligence, and some of the network connection is been through SIM. So I'm presuming that with SIM also, be it Cortex or be it any other vendors, they are involving their AI agents, and those AI agents are also talking to OT environment. So how do you think industry collaboration of AI threat intelligence could improve the security across the critical infrastructure, just like some work group just for security in this critical infrastructure?
Well, I'm hoping that with, the advancement of AI, we're going to see much more capabilities into the way we detect and respond to threats right now. Um, that right now, as I mentioned to you, is the lack of sharing of information, the lack of integration that I see is not happening, and that's important. That the different technology that we invest in needs to be able to. I mean, if you think about if you building an AI threat detection model, I mean, you want to get information from every system that you have, your asset information, because you need to correlate those assets and vulnerabilities. If you have an application that's identifying, scanning for vulnerabilities, you want to have that all connected. So you got to create an ecosystem um, and connect. And I think AI is going to probably require for those things in order to function properly, because there's no way. AI is all about data, and it's going to be the effectiveness of AI will become and the amount of data it has access to. And if it's limited amount of data, the outputs will be limited. So I could see the need to have more integration with an AI. Let's say we are speaking about an AI threat detection tool. Yes, we're going to have better integration to make this tool worthwhile.
Yeah, that's another good advice there. And with the AI depending on data is one of the major issue as well. And like so much AI data, AI generated data is already in the system that there will be a time. It's already there, which we call hallucination, but there will be a time when it's kind of uh, echo chamber of its own, and where the model will be just generating something absurd, and you would not never know what exactly its meaning out of it. So of course that saturation level will come up, and we do require manual human experts running just like you, who are already working here in from multiple decades, have the understanding of the system, how migration of OT can be done smoothly, and how those things need to be dealt with hands-on. So I think from that perspective, do you think there's do you have a plan, or do you have some concern that how this OT security training can should be moving or is not moving right now, and how you want to move with your own plan? Do you want to share anything with the audience here
In terms of security training,
in terms of OT security training?
yeah, I think there's need to be a lot more training. I don't think there's enough people. Engineers are not security guys. They understand operational technology. They know to build OT systems to run a refinery or manufacturing or water treatment plant, but they really don't have any expertise. And I think that's the group of people that need to step up and start getting more knowledge of OT of security, because right now the culture is they don't trust the IT folks coming in and implementing any security technology in the environment. They just don't feel that that they have the trust level to do it, because they believe that if they come in and implement something, it's going to stop their operation. I mean, think about if you're bringing, can you stop a water treatment plant? Can you impact a power generation plant? No. So that's why they're very, very protective of that environment. So to me, that the solution is more engineers have to start learning and educating themselves on how to protect the technology and the systems that they engineered and built over the years. They cannot rely on IT to come in and do it because they just don't have the expertise and knowledge of their environment. They might have good security methodology and skills on the IT side, but it does not work on the OT side. And I think that's really where we need to look at how do we get more engineers to the table and train them up with as security professionals, like as I did 10 years ago when I made the transition from practicing engineering to becoming a OT security specialist. And that's why I'm encouraging more. I mean, we cannot solve this problem without engineers coming forward and say, yeah, we're going to start educating ourselves. We're going to understand what site security is and how can we protect this environment.
So, from your wealth of knowledge, what's one spark, uh, how to identify that own spark in the engineer that who should be migrating into uh, OT security? What should be the one very, very niche, technical, non-technical skill which should be there if any engineer is wanting to migrating into security?
Yeah, see, right now, most engineers, I mean, engineering is still a high demand profession. We don't have enough engineers in the world today. We still have a huge demand. And, for them to just decide to take on a new challenge in life, they have to really be driven to say, here, I want a new challenge. For me, it was something new. It was a new challenge. Being an engineer for 20 years, I saw this as as a new challenge for me, and that's why I got into OT. I could have continued in the same field that I was in engineering, electrical and industrial control systems engineering, but I felt that, what, I was looking for something that is gonna bring more challenge to my work, and that's why I got into OT security. And but if engineers are comfortable working and delivering, I mean, their jobs are pretty complex. I mean, no, you cannot. I mean, you cannot underestimate the complexity of engineering. So they feel that adding another layer to that, which is cybersecurity, is going to even make their job even more difficult. So, but to be honest, it doesn't make your job more difficult. It just adds another complexity and another layer and another challenge to wake up every day and says, yeah, this is something that I love to do, and this is something that I am motivated to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that answer actually. From cybersecurity perspective, challenge is one passionate interest or one passionate love we should be having, because security is nothing but challenge. You will be having a baseline security knowledge, but that doesn't make any sense when you are working in IoT or cloud or sometime in mobile application or different application, different architecture, different models. So you have to learn, you have to understand the challenge and move forward with the engineers to make them comfortable, as well as you should be understanding their conceptual, uh, because from where they have been delivering the design, and then you can ask for the necessary changes. So from the perspective of layered, that cybersecurity is a different layer. It's not a layer. It's kind of a should be a assimilation between the life cycle. It shouldn't be feeling any different. The whole idea behind SSDLC, the secure software design, software development life cycle, I'm talking from the IT perspective, of course. So it was just to have security at every layer, not having security as a different layer. Only one can achieve a much more seamless discussion with the engineer when if a security mindset is with this one, where we will just help support engineers and move forward with their product delivery, not being a blocker. So yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much up with the technical discussion. I would like to just touch a bit of 2 to 5 minutes of your personal interest and stuff. What are your interests apart from OT and security in your personal life? That do you like adventure? Do you like traveling or reading books? Anything you want to share here about so that the audience can understand you, know you better?
Yeah, I love to travel. I mean, I'm an adventurous person. I always challenge myself in on a daily basis. So I'm always looking for new things to challenge myself. And I do like to travel. I like to enjoy different culture, different foods, and connect with different people around the world. And I've traveled extensively across around the world. I've traveled all around Japan, South Korea, Thailand, etc. I traveled across Europe. I've traveled extensively in Canada, in the U.S. So that I think I love to travel. Secondly, I enjoy the ocean quite a bit. So I love to get out and swim and get out and do snorkeling and enjoy the what the ocean has to offer. That's one of my second passion I have is just being out in the water. I mean, I live in Florida, so we're surrounded by water on the East Coast and the West Coast. Yeah, um, yeah. I originally came from Canada, and I've been here in the U.S. for the past eight years, going into 9 years now. So yeah,
So
and yeah,
just a
go ahead.
fun question: do you miss Canadian winters?
No, I don't. And I was there last year, and the weather was not so nice. It was always cloudy, and yeah, it was kind of depressing for me to be there. I wake up in Florida every morning, and it's bright and sunny and warm outside. You can just walk outside with a shorts and t-shirt. I go to the Dunkin' Donuts every morning and grab my coffee and come back and start my day. I just enjoy just coming out of the house and just getting that breath of fresh air and starting my day. So that's typically what gets me going is uh, a nice big cup of coffee every morning. And occasionally I indulge in a donut. I treat myself to a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, I would love to have that evening shared with you. That would be a fun one. So yeah, that's a wrap up for the audience. That's John Jaisaree for you, our OT security expert. If you have any question, you can just comment on the chat, and we can bring up more answers for you. And there will be much more details about the discussions here, including the regulation and stuff in the show notes. And yeah, be cybersecurity AI enthusiast and passionate about it, and just follow the channel, subscribe it, like where you are watching it, and you can also follow John Jaisaree on LinkedIn and other social network. He will be creating much more interesting programs which has been discussing today, so you will be seeing much more news about that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye from here.
Yeah, thank you so much, and hope to be back again and discuss some of the advances in the AI space in terms of how we're leveraging AI technology in OT. Thank you.
Thank you.